Welcome to the live show for, it looks like June 3rd of 2019. Oh my goodness. Time is flying. So our show has moved out into the forest to try to keep a calm demeanor tonight and to ignore drama and craziness and stick to what's going on. And there's a lot going on, a lot to update you on, especially around Contact in the Desert. For those of you that do not know what it is, it's a yearly, I think I could say that, right? It's yearly. I don't know if they do it twice a year, but I'm going to say yearly until I know otherwise. Yearly event where a lot of like kind of famous people in the ufology community, they come out, they tell lectures, they give stories. Although I might do a little criticizing over a few things, I hope no one takes it the wrong way. I want this topic to stay as focused and realistic and real as possible. And a lot of times, people that host these types of events don't know certain things that are going on in the background. But it seems like some of the stuff that we've talked about in the last year affected Contact in the Desert, not because we talked about it, but the things we've talked about definitely have affected Contact in the Desert just a little bit. And we're going to be watching a clip from the Kev Baker show. We watched it last night, kind of late. I processed it, heard what, went through it in a really late stream. That stream, of course, was unlisted because it was just a random stream, but you can find the replay on Twitter and on Periscope and on other networks. Also tonight, we're going to look into the fact that a really great YouTube channel, Miles Power, who I have never seen do anything other than take evidence in and prove his points directly in his videos through excellent research, excellent writing. Just one of the best YouTube channels, I think, that's around for getting to the bottom of the subjects that he covers. It's being attacked by somebody that was supposed to speak at Contact in the Desert, found out that he wasn't going to speak at Contact in the Desert, pulled some strings to speak at Contact in the Desert, and in the end, a lot of strangeness happened, like he ended up getting heckled at Contact in the Desert. And I'm going to show you that. Unfortunately, this all just happened. I think this is the final day of Contact in the Desert 2019 right now, according to the website. So we are kind of getting ahead of the news. If we get the video for any of the things we talk about, I will be playing them here, uploading them here, and discussing it with you afterwards. But as of now, I'm sorry to say I just don't have the video. It wasn't shared with us. And so a lot of this, strangely, is going to be coming straight from Mr. Sather's Twitter account. But we're going to talk about more than just him, and more than just him being at Contact in the Desert. We're going to hit some of the other people there, some of the stuff that other people have said. There's really not a lot of stuff on YouTube yet, but you don't really see a lot of it until about a week later. People go home, they sit down, they edit videos, they upload clips. So you could probably expect YouTube to start popping off with things that happened in about a week. At least historically, even maybe longer for some of the different video clips. But I do think we're going to see some of the video of the things I'm about to tell you about. So let's start off on the most interesting thing. Then we'll move on to this attack against Miles Power, which is so weird. There's one guy that you probably don't want to go up against. It's Miles, because he's got his ducks in a row. The thing that he's being attacked over involves him literally providing testing. He did actual testing of those things. Then we might go ahead and jump over to a new face asking for you to believe that some cloning is happening. Real cloning, according to her. And then very quickly it devolved into her not being safe, needing to fund money for her escape from the evil cloners. I'm not kidding. I wish I was kidding. I get in a lot of freaking trouble when I talk about this stuff live. As you've already seen this weekend, I get in some trouble when I talk about this stuff. It's okay, because we're going to hook you up with exactly what happened. I'm going to put the evidence up on the board. I'm going to draw my conclusions based of it. I am perfectly fine with you disagreeing with me, talking about your disagreements in the chat. We just have one rule in our live chat. Don't be a dick. You get kicked for being a dick. Harassing people, calling people names, stuff like that will get you kicked. Sorry. We want to foster a conversation there. We want people that disagree actually be able to tell us why and have conversations with other people to kind of come to a conclusion through words. Isn't that crazy? I can't believe that that even happens. Why would anybody do that? So we're going to start off with Jordan actually being listed on the website for Contact in the Desert until he got there. And then he was told he couldn't speak. I know why. I do know why. I think I should pull it up on my screen, honestly, but I don't know. Maybe I'll just tell you about it and not pull it up on my screen. Because every time I pull that crap up on my screen, I get demonetized, I get my video rated higher, and then it doesn't go out and get into the search results, and I'm kind of sick of that happening because I put a lot of work into the show. Speaking of which, make sure you like, you subscribe, and if you really like what you see or you really like what we try to do for you, next to the subscribe button is a join button, and there are ways below to support us either monetarily or free. You don't even have to donate money. There are free ways to help us out in the About section to keep us bringing you content every single night, and that's all we do with any support, whether it be a subscription, a view, a donation, or any of those free ways. We just keep bringing you content. We don't save the world. It's just a YouTube show. Speaking of all of that, let's go ahead and get this started. You're going to want to see what happened. Remember when we had a really big show one night that took the information that I think it was Kelly. Some people say it was Groovy Bean, but I remember it was Kelly. Somebody correct me in the live chat so I can accredit the correct person, which I will do tonight. Brought information out that Corey Good, if you don't know who he is, just stick around. Corey Good made a group on Facebook. It was secret, and he invited only people that he trusted into the group, and they doxed Joe from the Carolinas, wrote lots of articles about people that criticized them unfairly and rudely, and then also we found out the next day that Jordan Sather was in on it. I've got corroborating evidence now that what I told you that day was completely correct. The evidence showed it, and now we've got corroborating evidence this much time later. And that's why I always, ask you guys to dig around, to do research for yourself instead of just, coming at me. Because you typically will see that later on, a lot of the info I bring you, when there is a lot of evidence provided, turns out to be the right thing. Because of that, he was heckled. Because of that, all this happened. So here we go. This is UNIRock Live. Thanks for... Oh, and I got to shout out Kev Baker because we're going to watch a segment from the Kev Baker Show on Truth Frequency Radio and on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to him. We need to get Kev up to 100K. He's only at 92, guys. Get over there and get that sub there. Hook Kev up, my friends. Let's go ahead and get this started. Here we go. UNIRock Live.
Moments will be lost in time. Like tears in rain.
Quick. So here we go. Let's start over here. As I showed you, Jordan was slated to speak on the list, but ended up saying this. Let's go ahead and zoom me in, Bizzy. Do you mind? Please, sir. Good sir. Thank you. God, Bizzy, get on it. Just another day exposing the fake UFO disclosure in the mainstream media, the infiltration of frauds in the ufology, and telling everybody about you know what, and the shadow civil war in our country. Good times at Contact in the Desert, and they told me not to get too controversial. Rolling on the floor laughing emoji. Whoops. Contact in the Desert 2019. Now, I don't think Jordan had that good of a time at Contact in the Desert, and I honestly don't think he's telling us everything that happened. I know he's withholding a few things. I'm going to tell you a lot tonight. I ask you to very specifically listen to my words if you're going to run around the internet claiming that I threw shade at somebody or whatever. I will label what is fact, I will label what is rumor, and I will label what can be proven and what is opinion. It's your choice then to show your true character by how you either represent my information or warp it out. Now, despite the early start time that they slated me at 7:30 a.m., so he's complaining that they started him at 7:30 a.m., it was a packed house. Well, there was about 40 people there. I don't necessarily, if that's Contact in the Desert packed now, it just seems so different than every other year. There were dozens of people that they had to turn away from my talk. Well, there was a lot of room in there. Well, they could have stood over there. They could have stood back in the back. Hey, there's a couple empty chairs right behind your dome. See it? See, right behind that big old chrome dome right there? A couple empty chairs. Why was I given the smallest room there, guys? These folks paid to be there, and you're going to turn them away? I can tell you why, Jordan, but I'll go ahead and scroll down before I go on my, before I get to it. Anyway, the crowd enjoyed what I had to say, and it wasn't the same of drivel we hear over and over from UFO experts. So I'm going to go ahead and start talking now. It's very disrespectful to take the list of people that I saw on the webpage represented as speakers at Contact in the Desert and then state that the other stuff you heard there was drivel that you hear over and over again from, quote, UFO experts. Because I've interviewed some of those people on my main channel, like Brian Forrester. And Brian is an archaeologist and represents everything that he brings with factual backing. He does not make things up. He does not go out into the woo-woo. Even though there are some people there that go into the woo-woo, at least the ones I saw other than Jordan and maybe a few others, there are a few others, but there were some that go woo-woo but admit that they're going woo-woo and are very upfront about it. I'm not trying to say that I agree with their woo-woo-woo, okay? And I'm not putting them down by calling it woo-woo. I'm just saying, what's with that? Why are you putting them down because you got mad at Contact in the Desert? The speakers have nothing to do with the people that set it up. But anyway, I then had a Q&A session on the grass outside the building afterwards, and a couple of hecklers came up. Jordan got heckled at Contact in the Desert. I've never heard of that happening. I mean, to anyone there. But I know why. He tells us why. They were trying to interrupt me by yelling over everyone and spreading the false allegation that I dox people and am involved in a cult. Well, a lot of people have really good reasons that fit the definition of a cult to say you're in a cult, but I'm going to leave that out. I would say their opinion that you're in a cult is valid, but I'm going to leave that out. Let's talk about the first part that you kind of get out real quick there. Spreading false allegations that I dox people. I have a major problem with you tweeting that out because it's false. And the more that someone lies that labels themselves a truther, the more people are going to start seeing through their BS. Jordan, we proved that you did dox Joe, okay? So let me explain this short in a way that Jordan understands for how stating that he didn't dox Joe from the Carolinas is a bold-faced, absolute, 100% backed up lie from his own social media accounts. And let me do it by reminding you all what happened when I put that information out. Okay, so you recall the whole thing where I was chilling and streaming, and then we heard, I think I was live, but I could be wrong. It was a while back. And Rachel comes up, basically, from some of you guys jumped in saying that you've got to cover this story that just broke. So we checked our email. We did what we had to do. We covered the story to the praise of the individuals who put the story out, which was Kelly. Am I right there? Please, Joelbot or somebody back me up that I'm saying it correctly, with Kelly being the person that was the person who released the information. Then she chose to do it to the first channel that responded to her, CW Chanter. Now, after that, me and CW had some problems. We were perfectly fine after the first night that I covered it. But after the first night that I covered Corey Good doing all this and everything else, I got more information from all over the internet, a lot of screenshots. Yes, Kelly says Joelbot. Thank you. Good. I want to make sure I do that right, because she deserves all the credit for it. No one else. Not me. Not anyone else. No one else but Kelly. Just Kelly. Okay. The first day, everyone was happy. Everything's fine. We got information out that really shows what happened to Joe and how this horrible thing happened to him. So the next day, I take all that information that's sent to me and I organize it into a show. I put it up on the screen. I go in, but then we find out that, and sorry to say this, I'm just representing the truth. I won't be vindictive or mean or anything. CW Chanter got really upset. He said I didn't shout him out enough. I counted 42 shout outs, which is 41 more than I give anyone else. And he was very mad because he said I was connecting Jordan Sather to the doxing for no reason whatsoever, which he admittedly didn't watch my stream because I presented evidence that Jordan Sather doxed him. What was the evidence? Well, we had evidence that he was communicating with Corey Good to give instruction to the group, and that's why Joe was targeted. Corey Good really didn't have a reason to hate Joe, if you all remember. He didn't have a reason to be angry about it. No, I mean, why would he? Joe had only brought up Corey a few times, and I don't even remember anything that damning that Joe said about Corey, although I could have missed it. I'm being completely real here. I could have missed it. But we do know that there was a person that had a lot of problems with Mr. Joe from the Carolinas. That was Jordan. And like I stated, with the information I provided, like, Jordan shared the docs exactly, and I think I said 6 minutes or 16 minutes after the docs appears, from a sock account that only has a few people following it, like Jordan Sather and Corey Good and others, shares the docs. Then, of course, Jordan does, Corey does, but Jordan didn't just go that far. Jordan shared it all over his accounts, not just the Twitter one. It wasn't just that he retweeted this on Twitter. He screen grabbed it, he copied it, took it other places and shared it, like Facebook groups, like forums, like web pages. So, my point being, even if Jordan wants to say that he only did it on Twitter and Facebook and in some Facebook groups, that is doxing Joe, okay? Now, I could say that the person who released the docs was a sock account. It was a brand new account, only been around a while. How did Jordan and Corey follow it? How did these guys that won't follow anyone but a select group end up following a sock account that just comes into existence? It just so happens to dox Joe and just so happens to get retweeted immediately by the people involved that are accused of doing it with hard evidence, like the chat logs from the secret troll Facebook group and other things like that. Because, Jordan, you factually doxed Joe. You had to delete the tweet off your timeline. After it was deleted by Twitter, you had to delete the thing that said this tweet's not available, or however that worked. My point is, I don't care about all the advanced theories and all the advanced crap or any type of double talk. That's not what truth speakers do anyway. I don't care about all that. What I do care about is that you start representing the truth because you did this. And I think it's highly likely that that could be a reason that Contact in the Desert, now that all these people are knowing about it, and they're starting to get very upset that you're being allowed to speak places, knowing that if somebody criticizes you, you're going to not only endanger Joe, but by sharing that dox, you endangered all of the terminal cancer patients at his workplace, because you didn't dox Joe's house, you doxed his work. A place where terminal cancer patients are counseled by Joe, which is extremely worrisome. They did nothing wrong. The main people that would be harassed are the workers there, not Joe, but the other ones that answer the phones and sit at the front desk, and maybe some of the, terminal cancer patients that go there. Those are the people affected mostly by this. Including Joe, of course. I'm just saying others are too. So if he had a vendetta against Joe and did this for that reason, he still doxed everyone that worked there and then all of the people that are getting treated there. That's just a fact, okay? Yeah, you could have done it on, you could have been angry. You could have done it with a different intention than you did. But, getting past it and apologizing for it and acknowledging it instead of just trying to be a tough guy with somebody that's calling you out at Contact in the Desert, I think would probably have diffused the situation better. I could say so much more about all this, but here's the main thing I want to say. We now have backup information that I was correct about Jordan Sather helping Corey Good, because Emery Smith came straight out and said that Jordan was involved in the dox, along with Corey and the people that helped them. All of them should have to have people know that they do this and that they continue to do this, and this is who they are. Because real whistleblowers do not do this, okay? People that are trying to get the truth out don't do this, but even more than that, people that get the truth out don't then lie about it later to save face or to try and, to protect their brand or their business or whatever the real crazy reasons are for any of this happening. But at least with Emery Smith, see, when I come out and say it, when other people come out and say it with smaller or bigger channels than me, it doesn't really get around that much inside the viewership of these people, because they have prepped these people to think that I'm a shill, that I'm some disinfo agent trying to harm the reputation of Jordan instead of just speak the truth. So if I say it, it doesn't have as big as an impact as, let's say, Emery Smith, one of Jordan's own advertised whistleblowers, saying it. Now, on top of that, a lot more stuff has come out. I'm going to try to get it to you and correctly label it, but I'm telling you, it's all subject to change, because there is going to be on Kev Baker's show this weekend. Kev can type into the chat more details if he wants, or I can announce it later. More verification with recorded Emery Smith being recorded saying some of this, along with other recordings coming out to back this up. Emery Smith said more things, allegedly, that will be confirmed later, so please listen for these audio tapes and consider what I'm saying a precursor or a rumor to the audio tape, other than the fact that he confirmed that Jordan was in on it. And there was one other piece of information that I'll try to remember in a second. I know I will, because we're going to listen to some stuff, but to add on to this even further, Emery said that he's not in with David Wilcock and Corey Good anymore and doesn't like Jordan Sather. And above everything else, Emery Smith claims that he never autopsied alien bodies. That was one of his main claims to fame, one of the main things he said at certain places. And now it is being claimed that it's recorded, and I do believe it, but we're going to hear it soon, that Emery Smith has stated that David Wilcock himself made up the fact that Emery dissected alien bodies, which actually I've been telling people for a while. We'll get into all that and more in just a minute. So that leads us up to now. Jordan putting out on Twitter that he's mad at Contact in the Desert. He's mad at all the people that go, all the other speakers there, because they're all infiltrators into the UFO community. He's not, they are. I will say this, I don't remember any of them doxing anyone and harassing people at their work and then harassing the terminal cancer patients that go to that place where they work. But then again, I could be wrong, because everyone says I'm crazy. They were trying to interrupt me by yelling over everyone and spreading the false allegations that I, Jordan Sather, dox people and am involved in a cult. I stood up to face the guy and shut the fake news down. It's not fake news, Jordan. You could say maybe that you disagree with him that you're in a cult, but I think there's more people that believe you're in a cult by the number of millions than there is people that believe you're not. Not in this realm, in the Q realm, but anyway, you can't say that you doxing people is fake news. I know you're all about narratives, you're all about telling people what's up, but you can't, dude, you got to eventually own up to it. There is too much evidence, dude. We have absolute proof, and it's backed up. Wayback Machine, screenshots, it's recorded that you did share this dox far and wide. Out of all the people that shared the docs, the person with the most influence, the person who shared it that got the most views on it, the person that got the most hearts and retweets was Jordan, sharing it on the Destroying the Illusion Twitter account and Facebook account. You are the most responsible, even more than the person that put it out, because the person that put it out tagged him. So very quickly, Joe got it taken down. How did a bunch of people see it? Solely because of Jordan. Okay, I'll shut up now about that. So he says to shut the fake news down real quick, and he had nothing to say but kept raising his voice. Poor folks. See, you're actually lying to your entire audience in these tweets, because he did have something to say that was factual, that you doxed Joe, and he raised his voice because you were trying to shut him down when he was speaking the truth. So he should have raised his voice over you. And the people watching need to know that you did this. And I think they need to see the proof that you did this. Let's hope they find it, because it's not hard to find. Take a couple searches, watch some of my videos on this. You'll be able to get caught up really quickly. Now, Kelly, in case you're wondering, was a member of the secret group before it became a doxing troll group, misinformation and propaganda group targeted to criticizers of Jordan and Corey. She screenshotted the conversations for proof and recorded the conversations and even recorded some phone calls and put them out to the community. Jordan goes on to say, and this is one of the biggest things, so even if you hate my guts completely, you need to hear this, and then you can continue hating me forever. Not just that, but I wasn't given a spot on any of the panels during the event. But you're listed on the event, and your face is on the webpage for the event. They canceled the panel that he was going to be on. They canceled him speaking on a panel. I'll go into that in a minute. Even though it was written into my contract. We're going to go into the contract thing in a little bit in depth. That I was supposed to be on one. Weird. Yeah, I don't think it's weird that you were supposed to have a panel and then you didn't have one, because a school in the United States last weekend had to have a major fundraiser that they do every year completely shut down. Why? Because Jordan's cult, the thing that guy was calling him a cult for participating in, created a conspiracy theory by taking James Comey, a political guy, and taking the first letter of the words in a tweet that he put out, and then claiming that a bunch of the conspiracy cult members needed to go to this school fundraiser and guard it from the deep state because of the words, because of the conspiracy pushed by Jordan Sather this whole time. It's now gotten one of the major fundraisers at a school shut down due to the craziness. I think that happening right before Contact in the Desert, and the content that Jordan was going to be speaking out of his mouth there, combined with a presence of Contact in the Desert fans knowing that Jordan and seeing the proof that he is doxing people, all contributed to them canceling him on the panel. But that's not all. I told David Wilcock about that, and he decided to bring me onto his panel as a, quote, surprise special guest, end quote, parenthesis, lol, capital letters. This whole thing is presented from Jordan with emojis and laughing. He just isn't taking it seriously. It's so disgusting, putting down the other speakers, even if you don't agree with some of them. It's just crazy to me. He doesn't think about being tactful or respectful in any of this, because he's really angry that they didn't let him speak and that he's been exposed. So he's getting really, really mad, and it's starting to show through. But that's not the most surprising part of this tweet, and I'm surprised it's still on Jordan Sather's timeline, because when Jordan had just as many subscribers as me on YouTube, and I noticed who he was, I tried to reach out to him, and he always ignored me, even though I was sending him evidence that the stuff he talked about could be debunked very easily back then, to try to prevent the monster that's formed from forming, into stopping fundraisers, into having people shut down the Hoover Dam, into having these horrible things happen across the country, and into having a lot of people waste their time with misinformation and lies. But I said back then that I had it on great authority that Jordan had signed a contract with David Wilcock and crew, and that was why he was being advertised around at these Contact in the Deserts and some of these other places. Not because of Contact in the Desert, but because David Wilcock was there and therefore used his influence to have people that were signed contracts with presented with him. Also, I stated that that's why his channel started growing at an exponential rate, and it was one of the reasons why the idea of mass arrests was pushed into the conspiracy theory. I showed you David Wilcock's original website backed up on the Wayback Machine in 1999. David Wilcock's been claiming that mass arrests are going to happen ever since 1999, and any prediction that he makes is never more than 1 year away, or 1 month away, or 6 months away at the very most. In the early days, it was the disclosure, and it was that mass arrests were coming in a week or in a month. But then he realized people are going to not believe me if I say that. I got to add a lot of time so I can keep talking, so I can keep getting attention. So as the years went on from 1999 up until 2017 when this started and up to 2019 now, they have constantly taken the idea of mass arrest and intertwined it into certain conspiracy theories after realizing the amount of attention that David Wilcock got from it earlier in his career, when he was just a guy like Jordan trying to make it with no one to help prop him up onto the internet like David did for Jordan. But even more, I was targeted by Jordan mostly. I'm on his shill list. I was one of the first people ever put on Jordan's shill list. If you didn't know this, UNIRocktv, me. Also, he's always taken jabs at me, always told people I was a shill, and instigated people to troll me and talk shit and all that, of course, because I speak out against his misinformation and lies. But the main reason why I'm on the shill list is because I told people he had signed a contract. I said that he insults people that don't have these types of contracts. He calls those people shills, but can't admit himself having a contract like this that instigates the information he gives to the public, that motivates him to choose certain subjects to focus on, certain things to try to help go viral, and certain places to speak. These types of contracts are by definition the things that make somebody a infiltrator into a previously formed community. And it's one of the bases for my entire series, Secret Space Shill to Pay the Bills. David Wilcock and Corey Good and Jordan are the focus of my series, Secret Space Shill to Pay the Bills. These contracts that I've stated exist have been the thing that I use as the basis for why they should be considered infiltrators into ufology, along with the ridiculousness of their stories and lack of evidence for any claim made. But to go take it just one step further, and then I'll shut up, it is the thing that always made him hate me. Why would he just admit it like this? Because he's this mad. He's this angry. Okay? I'm sure there'll be an excuse in a few days once he hears that I've said something, if he's not watching right now. But this is what I talk about. You got something like ufology, like I said on Periscope earlier today. It's a thing that you can't really argue isn't real. I mean, you can argue that it's not aliens, you can argue that it's not military technology, or you can argue that it's blue chickens, but whatever you argue, no one knows what it is. There's real phenomena in the sky that fit the definition of what's being described. It's recorded by a lot of closed-circuit TV, regular cell phones, other things. A phenomena in the sky is happening. The fact is, really hardcore UFO researchers may tell you what they feel it is. They just don't really tell you what it is because they don't know. No one does except Corey Goode, Jordan Sather, and David Wilcock. Ironically, the ones with the contracts, the ones that are paid by someone, by the way, who? I got a lot of guesses. I got a lot of info to say who's paying what, but I won't bring that up now because then I'll be called a shill and harassed for another couple weeks. And I'm already being harassed and trolled right now by a different group, so I'm going to wait to instigate the other group until that group finishes in a few days. The point I'm making is, let's go back a couple years to where I had 1,000 subs. He had 1,000 subs. The other people involved weren't that known. If you would have asked all of us back then, how would you describe a shill? Well, they choose what they talk about based on contracts, based on money, based on someone telling them and not their research, not what they've experienced or not what they've heard when they interview people or when they build shows and presentations. That would have been all of our definitions. No one would have argued it. In fact, I think we've all said that at one point in time when we were smaller channels. I still maintain that contracts are okay for certain things, just not what you're going to say about UFOs or conspiracies, because if you're going to call your words the truth, they cannot be fueled by things like money and contracts. But we got a lot more to show you. So he continues after saying special guest lol. You know, I had to rock my... Whoa. I forgot one thing. Man, these big presentations, sometimes I just misspeak or I skip something. Sorry, let me add something in. Also, I do believe the contract was to David Wilcock, and I'll tell you why. Because in his anger, he didn't think about what he was saying, and he spilled the beans here, if you will. See, the reason why he wasn't scheduled to talk was a very good reason. And I think David went, this is my opinion, and pulled to the people that organize these events. Very true, Lone Wolf, my friend. Okay, let's see here. What was I saying? The contract, I believe, is contracted to David Wilcock. And the reason is because David Wilcock would have gotten him able to speak. He was canceled. He was canceled because he was going to talk about Q. Q had already done all this stuff in the media that's very negative and would be ridiculed at Contact in the Desert if it was spoken about. They put him in a small room. They let him speak at 7:30 a.m. That way, maybe if someone recorded it or put it out, then they could say, oops, we didn't know he was going to say that. Contact in the Desert has no affiliation with Q, does not want it talked about, and we told him that. Well, he admits that they told him not to talk about Q, but he did it anyway. This is why I call him the things I call him. This is why I tell you he can't be trusted, and he is an infiltrator into the ufology community. A community that I've interviewed a lot of very good researchers that are fact-based and very good at what they do, and that I have been participating in since I started on YouTube, before I started to come to UNIRock 2 to try and expose these guys that are literally destroying every community they touch. The reason why David did this, even though Contact in the Desert put their foot down, is because David is a big influence with Ancient Aliens, and David, they compromised down. Tell Jordan not to bring this up. Tell Jordan that he only has a 7:30 a.m. in the small room for a little bit of amount of time, and tell him to keep it non-controversial because we don't want the media descending upon Contact in the Desert because he's going to talk about this crazy stuff. Now listen to what he says in a second. It's important. You know I had to rock my... Bizzy, play my music and zoom me in, okay? You got to do your job today, Biz. I'm sorry. Well, I know you want to relax. I do too. Let's get this done. You know I had to rock my Space Force tee for that one. There is unfortunately quite an anti-Trump PG is fake news. Let's avoid it sentiment in ufology. He's lying. It was a no Q or PG sentiment. He may not be the president you want, but he's the president you need. They'll get it soon enough. Hashtag Space Force. Jordan is being deceptive. I'm calling him out for it. I have it on a slight authority. I can't really say that it's 100%. I'll go 80%. That yes, it was mostly Q, barely PG, and nothing to do with Trump. That's what I've got it on. Unfortunately, I can't really bring it out and tell you who it is right now, but they were going to be talking about it soon, they say. So, I'm challenging him on this. I say prove it. I say get one of the event organizers to step up here because you're making Contact in the Desert look really bad. And even though I may criticize a couple tiny aspects of it sometimes, it doesn't mean that I feel any way about all the people that speak there. All my opinions for the people that speak there are based on them, not where they speak. And the actions of the actual events are the things that make me judge the events. The actions of the people make me judge the people. You got me. Okay. Because I think the topic of ufology needs talked about. Events like these need to happen, but it needs to be vetted. It needs to be vetted. They need to check with a debunking community like the one I'm in and actually start to listen to only the evidence we have so that they can make good decisions about people that do the things that have been done lately. Because it's provable and it's real. Why did Jordan try to put a narrative on Twitter that it was because of this and Trump and not the main thing, Q? To try to make his conspiracy that he makes his money off of look good. If you don't know what's going on here, he's being snipped away from ufology. People are really wising up to what he is, and he knows the only thing he's going to have going forward is Q. That too, Kev. Kev said, I think the fact that Gaia TV was a major sponsor of the event is very telling. That also, especially what the Gaia supervisor said in the video that I did a couple weeks ago from Groovy, right? Groovy Bean, which I hope to talk to soon now that things are calming down with all the other crazy people out there. I might be able to get back into getting some of this stuff out. But anyway, okay. I've got it on good authority. It was Q, and that Jordan's doing this to try to defend the only conspiracy he has left after he's getting snipped from ufology because of his actions, because of MMS, because of going around and doing what he's been doing with doxing people, and it all coming to light. Him refusing to die on his anthill of MMS and the other things. That, I believe, 100% he's covering for Q. Back to what he said. Oh, and to cap it off, when I went to get a DVD of my lecture at the end of the day last night, I was told there was a glitch in saving the file, so I couldn't get it. There were a few people who told me they were unable to get a DVD of my lecture. Well, I think that if he's telling the truth about this is my opinion, I believe he heard that only from David Wilcock, who's trying to minimize the damage that's being done to him to keep him from being upset, or to maybe keep him from suing him for breach of contract now that David's losing power at these events because of the whole Gaia split and everything. I think the only reason David's there is probably due to a contract with Gaia, and the only reason Jordan was allowed is because of the contract with David. But anyway, the glitch had to have either been a complete lie, or it was David telling him that so Jordan wouldn't get mad at Gaia, or get mad at Contact in the Desert. Why? Because the real reason that they didn't record it, or they deleted it, or they say there's a glitch, or whatever it may be, is because he talked about Q, and it's got extremely bad press right now. You can type it in right now and do a search. I'll show you in a second, even though I don't want to pull it on my screen because I'll get demonetized. Just go search for that school. You know, type in the name of the conspiracy with school fundraiser. Immediately, you'll see all the different articles. Interesting seeing the subject content I was discussing. Interesting. no, they don't want it there anymore. They're running from it like it's the plague, just like everyone else is, because it's been proven to be fake, Jordan. It's lost its trend after it was proven fake. You guys are going to keep defending it because you still have somewhat of a community left, but other communities are not going to associate with this fake political mess anymore. And I'm glad this is happening. And mine seemed to be the only DVD that had this glitch. Well, you're either lying or that's what David told you, because they deleted your presentation. Peculiar. Thinking face emoji. Regardless of all the weirdness that went on over the weekend, it was a great success. More propaganda. I don't know why you can't be honest with your freaking following. I will tell people when I'm pissed. I'll tell people when things are fucked, dude. You gotta just start telling them. They already know that things were screwed, bro. The truth shines, and the more people try to hide behind. Now, this is another thing that I think is going to cause a lot of problems for Jordan in the future. Why invite him back if you know that if you don't give him everything he wants and let him say anything he wants, regardless of if it's real or fake or damaging to people? Let's leave out the doxing for now and just stick there. You know he's just going to talk bad all over social media because he doesn't want his followers to go to these events and find somebody better than him to talk to or to watch or to talk about. Thank you, Dennis. Much appreciated, my friend. He wants to protect his viewership now from contact in the desert. It's basic LARP behavior. I won't go into it further. Now this is where he starts to put down every other person there. And the more people try to hide behind two-facedness and silly egos, which is projection, that's what you're doing, Jordan, the more they expose themselves. What happened to you this weekend? Too many gatekeepers in the UFO community, what your SSP is trying to be, gatekeeping people from real research in the community by trying to funnel them into your super SSP version of things. And the truth community in general, which you have completely destroyed and warped out with this entire Q mess, wouldn't want to be one. And it's so ironic. He brings up all those things that he knows he just got exposed as. That's what this is. This is him projecting all these things that he just got exposed as and adding a sentence, don't want to be one of them. Projection. And as I said during my talk, they probably won't invite me back next year, but I don't care. Well, we know you don't care. Some things just need to be said, and I'll say them. Here's to the Great Awakening, /done, and then all is stupid hashtags. I said, you now publicly admit you have a contract, and David Wilcock must honor that contract. You called me a shill for a year for telling people this. So true. You know what? Let me go ahead and retweet that one. So, when it comes to what the rumor is, what's out there, and the data that's going to be shown in this recording, let's take a listen to what was said on the Kev Baker show right before all this happened. During Contact in the Desert, but you know what I said. You know
How bad did that mess your stream up?
No, not too bad. There's Ryan there, dude.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Mister, yeah. How you doing, man?
Your screen, Kev.
I'm doing great. My phone is so awful. If I touch the volume key, it ends the call. If I try to end the call, then it turns the volume up. So it's great. I had to call into to the show, and I had to just talk to you guys for a few minutes. It's going great today.
Yeah. Ooh, juicy.
Like a 3-minute recorded conversation.
Here it is.
Great. I had to call into to the show, and I had to just talk to you guys for a few minutes. It's going great today.
Yeah.
Shane, hang on. I'll try.
What do you got for highlights? What do you got for highlights, man?
Well, I talked to Emery Smith today.
So we've got Kev Baker show, NASA missions, Moon Madness, and Blue Chicken Cult bombshell. That's what we are hearing, but all of this is good. I retweeted it out. Go to the 1 hour and 10 minute mark, or 1 hour, 10 minute, and 30-second mark if you want to see this, hear the rest of it, and then go to the beginning and watch the whole thing, like it and share it, and sub to Kev Baker too. Take a listen. He says he's talked to Emery,
one-on-one. I got
One-on-one.
like a 3-minute recorded conversation, and got a few, if you can believe what he's saying, I got a few inside details about how he's no longer a part of the Wilcock and Corey Good cabal.
So Emery Smith has left the Wilcock Corey Good cabal where Jordan Sather is contracted now that we know.
Oh, juicy.
Yeah, he no longer likes Jordan Sather at all and had some very nasty
He no longer likes Jordan Sather at all and had some very nasty things to say.
About him, that Sather was one of the people that doxed Emery Smith. I didn't know that. I thought just...
Sather was one of the people that doxed Emery Smith, and Ryan didn't know that. And somebody type Ryan's last name because I say it wrong every time, and I want to say it right. So he's confirming the evidence that I found and put out in my show from Emery. Okay? I find it highly unlikely that Emery watched my show and got the information from there. So I can't wait. I hope Emery, now that he's not mixed in with these guys, will see the value in what we've been doing and hope to come talk to me, and will elaborate further and fill us in completely. And I'm going to work my ass off to make that happen. Kev said, Ronald Asher Evans, these people are nowhere near being government agents. They are con men. Simple as that. Let's not give them more credit than they are due. It will just feed their egos. Very true, Kev. Very true. So Emery Smith, someone that David and Jordan and Corey have pushed on to people, have just smashed out into, the UFO community, been their best friend, been a leaker, been somebody that they believe, somebody that they say they can prove it, what he's saying is true, is now saying this, that they not only are liars, not only did David tell him to make his story better or for whatever reason, for more believability, to say, Emery says that he told David that he didn't autopsy aliens, he autopsied unknown things. And David said, well, we need to tell people those unknown things were aliens, and due to contractual obligation or due to whatever, due to being, able to talk at these events, Emery had to go around telling people that because of David, basically. Also, there are other things alleged, I'm saying alleged, and we'll have to see if it gets confirmed later or where it comes from and how it pans out, that Corey Good and Jordan Sather threatened Emery Smith with physical violence if Emery turned on them and told the truth about them, because they know how much it'll damage their narrative. And I'd like to say CW Chanter can now be proven to be SJW Chanter after now Emery himself has confirmed the leak that I gave that he attacked me for all those months ago. And yes, all that stuff that CW said about me for weeks after getting mad at me because of the stuff I put out about Jordan being attached to the group was all caused by that thing. How do you know that? Why didn't CW say anything about how I was all this stuff before I did the show? Why did he always say good things about me? Why was he always cool with me? Because he got mad. He wanted credit. He thought that, well, if Uni found this extra stuff about the story, I'm not going to get as much attention at the story. So in order to make sure I get that attention, I got to turn Uni into a shill. And that's exactly what he tried to do. Luckily, CW, you just got busted again, son.
Joe from the Carolinas and a few other people, but apparently Emery was doxxed. But then again, depending on how well organized these guys are, it's very possible that they might all be involved in, running some scam by pretending to be separate and enemies. Who knows?
So I do think that it's a valid point to make, but if you take what Emery's saying now and combine it with past evidence, past actions, past leaks, it does make sense. It makes sense that Emery would be threatened by these guys. It makes sense that this other stuff is highly possible about, David pushing the story, David changing the story and wanting it to be more believable. And that probably is why Corey Good's story has changed so much since he first came out. It's probably why Jordan Sather, who is just a 20-year-old guy that worked at a health food store, meets this dude named Dustin Chomps, who's on the ITNJ board of directors, and gets a YouTube channel, meets David Wilcock, signs a contract, and gets 100 and some thousand subs. It kind of adds to this whole story that we've been researching, proving, and giving to the community for all this time. It really does.
That's true, dude. That's true, but that's quite interesting, right? Because, I mean, for anyone that doesn't know, I think Emery's one of these. Does he not claim to be one of these super soldiers or something like that?
Yes.
Well, see, that's another thing I learned today. I asked him, I said, what about the alien autopsies? You don't have any proof of that? And he said, well, I never autopsied alien bodies. And I said, well, I thought you dissected some. And he said, no. He said, Wilcock made this thing up that I dissected 3,000 aliens. And I said, yeah, that's what I've heard.
Whoa.
And he said,
that's big. That's big. It's coming straight from Emery. Ryan has a recording. We're going to hear that this weekend. I'm going to beg Kev to let me come on his show and talk with him when this happens, or at least to come over here and talk to me after he does it. And I think it's going to be excellent. We'll all get, eventually, this will come out, and at some time, we'll all get to kind of like talk about our pieces of the puzzle, what we've found, what we've tracked. And I think it's going to help further all of this. And I think Emery is going to realize, I truly believe he's going to realize that keeping this information hidden in is only going to fuel the power of the people doxing him. You see, back when he did the doxing, I told you that this is going to get Emery and others that are doxed and others that are harassed, because there are a lot more people that Jordan and Corey are doing this to than just Joe and the few people that we know about. They wouldn't just do it to them. They wouldn't take the time to form secret groups and just go after a couple people. They're going to use it against any criticizer or anyone that stabs them in the back or anyone that they feel it could have a potential to ruin their career with information they have. And yes, we've all heard the stories about David Wilcock basically recruiting these guys, taking these basic stories they have, fluffing them into the giant SSP narrative that's been injected into the community, and then using threats of violence, using coercion, using money, using contracts to basically be able to try to keep a bubble around all of this stuff that's gone on. The real scary part of it, how did so many people believe this when there's not a shred, one solitary shred of evidence inside of Wilcock, inside of Sather, inside of Good? How? Thankfully, because of things like this happening, it will educate a greater community that if somebody doesn't have evidence, you don't send them money and you don't believe them. You hear them, you consider what they're saying, you add it to the possibility, but you don't just let anyone stand up and tell you what's going on if they can't prove it, or if they don't have damn good reasons to believe it. You get me? It's always great to give opinions and talk about possibilities. It's what we've done on the internet for years. It's why we're here. It's why talk shows exist. It's why people do what we do. But if you go so far as to try to take a story and get it to get extra attention and get it to get extra virality and make extra money through taking pieces of it that aren't true and making them true by coordinating several people together to try to say that it's true and getting them, extra subscribers, getting them extra attention. This is a thing that goes on in every community that's out there. Every community has the people that stand up and use the tactics that are not in line with any type of journalism whatsoever, and that use the tactics that we've seen used over and over again in the last few years since the advent of PG and these other things that have spawned from it, and basically combining the number one red flag. They combine every single trend together. Number one red flag. SSP is a combination of Q, combination of ufology, combination of the Illuminati, combination of ancient archaeology, combination of alternative archaeology. It's a combination of only the trending subjects from all of these things put into one big bubble. Why? Because then it will attract more people, and that cannot by default be true. It cannot just, it doesn't never just happen. Wow, people are smart. Everything that trends ends up being true, but only in the conspiracy circle. That's just not how it works. Things that trend constantly turn out to be fake. Look at videos that trend. There's a channel called Captain Disillusion with 1 million subscribers that just debunks viral videos that are real or fake. He shows what's real and he shows what ones have been created, because 99% of every viral video is fake. You got golf balls that bounce off of 50 things and go in a hole. You got arrows that somebody shoots and they end up doing 5 backflips, zoom left, right, up, and down, and then hit a bullseye target, just missing somebody's ear. You know, all these crazy videos have been proven to be debunked and faked and created with computers. Every other place where there is a possibility for a trend, fake things always trend because they grab the attention of people if they've been done well. That's what you've got in the conspiracy community. Does it devalue every conspiracy? Oh, hell no. But the reason is, this could be happening a lot in the conspiracy community for money and attention, sure. But it also could be there to hide the true aspects of certain conspiracies that do exactly comport to do what you think they do. Anyway, this is the Kev Baker Show. Excellent. We're going to be paying attention this week. We're going to keep you updated. We're going to get to the bottom of everything and give you every piece of data that comes out of it, give you our opinion on it, and hook you up. So stay tuned. But we've got a couple more things to show you before we get out of here. Let's go. So I really would like to stop talking about Jordan. Constantly these guys come up. We need to get all this done. I'm very happy that the final stages to expose this is done, because once it's exposed fully, we'll have videos made that you can share to people that are still brainwashed so they can see the evidence for themselves, and we can be done with it. Move on to bigger and better things. But one thing Jordan also did, it's almost like he's in damage control, angry, mad mode ever since all this stuff started compiling against him. But he doubled down on MMS by attacking Miles Power. Now, if you don't know who Miles Power is, I pull clips from him a lot. I try to advertise his channel as much as possible because he's one guy that debunks a lot of stuff, but he always does it with actual evidence and real experiments. Like, to debunk MMS not being a bleach, he actually ordered it from one of Jordan Sather's sources and just put a couple drops on some cloth, on some jeans, and you could just watch immediately it bleach a lot more than Clorox would, a lot more than anything you got in your house would, because the claim is that MMS is industrial bleach, much more powerful than regular concentrated. Well, Miles proved it, and I think that's why Jordan's attacking the guy. But anyway, I completely stand behind Miles. Jordan called him propaganda. I want to say to Miles, that's a badge that you can now wear. You are now added to the group, the illustrious group of people on Jordan's shill list. I'm there with you, along with many other people. So, you know, it's a good thing. It means you're doing something right when he puts you on the shill list. And Kev, don't worry. You're going to be there after this weekend, right there with us, buddy. I guarantee it. Yeah, I'm really upset with Twitter over that. There is too much evidence that it's a bleach, and Jordan is one of those people, along with those other guys I named, Dustin, Nemos, and others, that are still pushing this stuff. And acting like it's good for children. That is what makes Jordan and Dustin Nemos, the other people that push this stuff, pure evil. Do you think Jordan pushes MMS out of the kindness of his heart? Well, I think he's got a contract with them, the people that sell it, just like he had a contract with David Wilcock that we just found out today. And I think the other people pushing MMS with a wealth of evidence that it's very dangerous for children, like Dustin Nemos and the others, also are being paid and contracted to do it. I said, I think that. I'm telling you, I think it. We got a member? Red Sox. Hey, bro. Thanks, man. Good to see you. So I just want to make sure you know, my video that says, I put out a recent video, Jordan Sather has become dangerous, is 100% accurate and correct. Along with the others that are pushing this miracle cure. There's even a video that Miles found where they took MMS to Africa so that they could get charities and other things to give money to them and give it to babies in areas like third world areas. Every time it touches, thank you, Red Sox, on Miles' channel, every time diluted, watered down MMS given by people that purport to be professionals touches a baby's lips and goes down its throat, they start spitting it out and screaming and crying because it's literally burning their mouth and throat the minute it goes down there. It is sad, it is sick, and he still, up to now, will not consider the wealth of video evidence, the wealth of medical evidence, and the cases where people have died, renal failure. He even mentions the renal failure and the liver failure when criticizing Miles and says, I quote, Jordan says, I've drank a lot of this stuff and my liver's working, so I've debunked it. These are the kind of dangerous people that have to be exposed. It's why I've been doing it here. I know my old... a lot of my older subscribers, a lot of my subscribers that have followed me for a long time want this to be over. Well, guys, it is right about to be over. These guys are finally being exposed by their friends and by their actions. Are getting too extreme now, and we will be back to normal, doing normal content again soon because we're hitting the end of it. But this is the reason that it had to happen. This is too much to see these babies. And you can just go search the video if you'd like. It just really gets you. Well, hey, Nana, thank you. Anytime. I do my best, okay? If there was evidence that MMS did not fry the throat, the stomach, the intestines, and the lips, and the tongue, and the mouth, and the esophagus of the babies, and actually help them by getting rid of some diseases or something, I wouldn't be saying what I'm saying right now. There is zero evidence that it helps. There is too much evidence that it is poison. Worse than poison. Okay, let's get this done. Well, I got bad news, everybody. I got bad news. I think that we're going to get a couple more trolls from around the internet coming up in the next couple weeks. I know we've already got some channels in super damage control right now on DLive and Twitch and other places because of what we've exposed in the last 2 weeks. We're going to probably see Jordan going into even more damage control than he is already because of what we've exposed about him lately and other things that have come out. And now that we've set our sights on a new target, we're probably going to get some of her trolls coming at us. UNIRockers, Rocka Squad, meet the newest LARPer out of the bunch, Carly Noel. With her video, some music and a very urgent message, she takes the conspiracy theory that she's been pushing for a while now on YouTube and brings it to another level. Her conspiracy theory has something to do with clones, cloning, and bad deep state guys cloning people and stuff and blah, blah, blah. Well, on June 3rd, is that today? It has to be today. Today, on June 3rd, Carly Noel has graduated into using her conspiracy to scam you. Unfortunately, haven't talked about her up to now because there was a minimal amount of this. But let's catch this one early, shall we? Carly says, I need your help. I'm not safe in public. It pains me to ask for money, albeit there are generous souls that have offered in the past to help, to which I thanked them and politely refused at the time. I don't believe it. My videos will always remain free to the public. This is a voluntary donation. Thank you so much. This is my GoFundMe. Well, let's see what the GoFundMe says on this episode of, this mini episode of Crowdsourced Criminals on UNIRock. Welcome to Crowdsourced Criminals, hosted right here on UNIRock 2 from our main channel, UNIRocktv on YouTube and Periscope. We have just found another crowdsourced requester that could be using a conspiracy theory to try to engage in extra donations for her campaign due to the fact that she's either absolutely batshit crazy and in need of drastic mental help, or grifting and lying to try to get you to open your wallet and pocketbook for her. It says here on public information on GoFundMe, my name is Carly and I'm an Illuminati ghostwriter slave. I was born into Project Oak Tree and was chipped in my left arm at the age of 6 in 1996. I've survived to tell my testimony and I have more information to talk about than time. I'm humbly asking for the public to monetarily help so that I may expedite talking about my experience with daily videos free to the public. I need to get my memories recorded online as quickly as I can. If you are in a position to help me, do not. She says, though, I appreciate any amount you're willing to give. I'm at a point where I have to get another job and continue risking my safety working with the public and therefore publish videos slowly, or ask the public for a little help to get to the truth out faster. So now you are posed with two questions that you must ask yourself. What's her name? Carly? Is Carly an Illuminati? I know she's not busy. I'm just posing the question to try to, get the show going here. Is Carly an Illuminati slave that needs your help because of those reasons? Or is Carly asking for help because she's broke and using the conspiracy? Hey, Red Sox. Thank you, dude. Appreciate it. It's how we keep our show rolling. Thank you. Our donations aren't enticed or incited by conspiracy theory lies, and any donation only goes to help us continue content. You have to ask yourself one of those two questions, whether she's doing it for money or whether she's just doing it to get out of town and help make videos. What I don't like is when she presents the GoFundMe page, the intention of the GoFundMe page constantly changes. It changes from her needing money to do more videos because she can't work in public because she's scared, to her urgently needing your help because she's not safe. These are inconsistencies that actually take those two questions and give the percentage more to that she's lying or mentally ill asking for money, and less to that she's being honest about her memories. Now I have to focus on the fact that she stated her memories, because a lot of people that will use a conspiracy theory to try to garner money from you, instead of being direct and telling you it's true, a lot of times will tell you that these are memories or that these are something that they remember. And this is because of new, very fringe types of hypnotism. And you remember Fiona Barnett? Well, we found video of Fiona and exposed her for stating that all of her memories were garnered from hypnotism and, this type of psychological intervention from non-licensed, non-graduate, non-degree people that claim they can help people remember things that happened to them that they've forgotten. The problem is all scientific data that's been done on this type of psychology proves that it creates memories, not helps you remember old memories that you've forgotten. And that's why when somebody starts to put an emphasis on memory over truth or happening and has no evidence to back it up, you very much should consider that you could be funding someone that's not mentally sound or bold-faced lying or has some type of substance problem actively. We would never, ever put somebody down for having a substance problem or mental health problems, and definitely never put anyone down for getting over their substance abuse problem. We're just listing the possibilities. So, is there anything else that we can garner from her GoFundMe page before we make at least a general warning, since we've just met her? And if you stick around, we will be going into some of the claims she's made here in the future. We just don't have time to do it tonight. Let's take another quick look at one more part of the GoFundMe page before we sign off and sum up tonight's show. I have to say thank you for being here. I'm UNIRock. This is my nightly show, UNIRock Live, where we feature many different segments like Crowdsourced Criminals, Red Pill to Pay the Bills, and several others like Secret Space Shill to Pay the Bills, all together for you with the data that we gather on the internet from these different individuals at the claims and their participation online. Thanks for being here, and let's round this out after checking on the last part of her GoFundMe.
Moments will be lost in time. Like tears in rain.
So, one thing that anyone should do before pledging to a GoFundMe is to just check the parts of the GoFundMe. So we're going to look at her messages that are delivered from donators. John says, be strong. So many people love you. Okay. Kathy says, $1,200 from 16 people in 20 hours. Is that right? Interesting. Complete garbage. Not believable in the slightest. Not realistic. Tell the CIA boss of yours to try harder. Our God entrusted me with the stewardship of a little money, so I'm happy to be of service to a sister in need. If there's anything else I can do or you want to be an honest friend to talk to, I'm here for you. Wait a minute. Why'd you call her a sister when you're a dude, Thomas? Are you trying to hook up with her? I get a little bit of a creepy feeling from that comment. Contact and donate to a God-fearing journalist, the Invisible House 2 Core 51 YouTube channel. He has a true scoop on SRA shills in 2019. Donate in Bitcoin. You're a fraud. I donated because you need help and you're important. And Jesus 24/7. So, what do you think now after seeing her YouTube request in her channel? That's up to you. Personally, I think I'm going to lend over towards the fact that she doesn't want to go to work or is a fraud or could have a mental illness more than the fact that she's telling the truth. But that could change. I could believe her as we look deeper into her channel. The only way you're going to know, stick around here on UNIRock Live, watch for our uploaded clips and our specials, and keep an eye out for what we publish. And to sum up tonight's work, I've shown you everything on my screen. I've given you my opinion on the facts that are presented. I've told you what parts are provable, what parts are rumor, and what parts are my opinion so that you can make up your own mind. I do not expect you to agree with me on 100%, 50%, or 10%. You don't even have to agree with me on anything you've seen. We're all free people. You just got to go with your gut, I suppose, and the evidence presented. Thanks for watching. Make sure you hit like and hit subscribe. Check out Kev Baker's channel on Truth Frequency Radio and on YouTube at The Kev Baker Show. And also look for his Twitter and other social media. And keep an eye out this weekend because whatever happens, we're going to be finding out even more information, hearing the recordings that are there, and getting to the bottom of all of this mess. Because when it comes to the internet, just like in real life, you should never believe something you hear without evidence and only believe, like, what is the old adage? 50% of what you see, 0% of what you hear. On the internet, believe 0% of anything unless there's hard evidence that you can fact check and source. Thanks for watching. I'll be back soon. We'll see you next time. What do you mean, you believer? What is that supposed to mean, Biz? Don't even start with me. We just ended the show. I want to chill out for a bit. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Will you two shut up? Look, Bizzy, I know that bread gets cloned, and you think that's how it works because you're a piece of bread, but trust me, that's not how it works for human beings. Okay, can you just please leave me alone for a little bit? You better shut down her GoFundMe right now, mister. Leave my credit card alone, Bizzy. Leave my credit card alone, Bizzy. No, I don't want to donate to her. Stop it.